How's it going? It's Man Tomorrow here. I don't think my headset is connected. Hold on a second. Let me check, make sure. No, the Bluetooth is connected. It said it is. And okay. See, we hear us here. Okay, so it is. It does work. Just shadow ban still. For some reason. If I just talk about effery and BS, then there'll be tons of people here. So, so, bro, like this was an actual attempt to shut down like creative productivity like early. Like I didn't even know how much further ahead I was of people until I was introduced to other people. Because to them, a person raised within a certain environment, it's impossible for an actual person to know everything by just memory, recall, and just having access to information. So if you don't understand, like if you're in Mississippi, if you're smart behind a specific point, they're gonna put your ass in special ed to give your actual parents an actual check to actually make sure that the actual intelligence is not nurtured, not encouraged, but immediately destroyed. But this is what the young people go through when they go through the actual Mississippi School District. It doesn't matter what county that you're in. They all do the same games, they do the same things, they do the same tactics, they do the same anything else. Once they see at an early age, because this stuff is figured out in actual Head Start. Like Head Start programs in the South was used to actually discourage um, intelligence than it was to actually nurture it for the most part. And people don't understand that. It's like the same data and information can be used to harm individuals than it is to actually nurture individuals. Period. Like the same test that I passed, I've seen people with money pass. You see the people with money pass these actual systems and they are gone. You don't see these people forever. Like I seen people in the second grade that I knew were smart as hell. I've had the same test that they passed. You didn't see those people until they came back to class reunions 20 and 30 years later. But they had money to put their kids in different districts and programs and everything else based off the information that they could actually recall, that they actually could exhibit, but they knew that their kids were that good. And it's like if you don't have the money to put your kids in that actual situation, you have a very different experience in life. Like being able to do complex algebra, be able to recall things. People think, oh, okay, this dude's crazy. He needs easier work. My grandfather was like, child doesn't need easier work. He needs more challenging work to challenge them. You have AP classes. How come he's not in AP classes? He was like, because he don't fit in AP classes. Like, he doesn't fit in AP classes, but for what reason? So that was like, oh, he doesn't fit in AP classes. We'll just put him here. We'll get him some easier work. And then, boom, you get more money. And he was like, I don't want more money. I'm retired military. I don't need any more money. It's just that he needs to be in a place where normal kids are not at. Well, that can't be true because look at these environments and look at these neighborhoods and look at the income level. And this is the stuff that I'm hearing from these individuals when my grandfather was asking for a very simple thing. Put this kid with other kids so that way he can be able to do things. But those things are not really nurtured in that environment. They're not. And it's like, what do I remember? I remember going from school to school, class to class, this to this, and that to that. But that's what it was. I was more interested in how things work in the lack of practical application of other people within the environment than it was the overall process itself. So when you ask me a question about did I receive all the, yeah, but it was in different forms by the same people because they couldn't see within themselves that this person created within this environment cannot have these specific potential outcomes. So we got to do everything that we can to destroy the ability to make sure that these things work. And it's like once you go back through the process of where you were and what was talked about at the time and the lack of interest and introspection and focus on other individuals because they had to work and they didn't really give a shit about the kids and they left everything to the school system. That's when you knew that that's where the actual attacks were actually happening. The actual discouraging of intelligence was very young. It didn't come in the form of quote unquote the environment or women at an older age. It would came into the actual outcomes of an extra $150 a month because that's what you got for a special ed child back then. Extra $150 a month to make sure you don't discourage the actual creativity of a child who's obviously gifted. Those people were willing to pay that amount of money to destroy, and I mean destroy that type of thing. It's going along the hall. But you have to understand that I disagree with Tie City a lot. But what I do not disagree with Tie City on is the government is not responsible for the education of your child. You are. You're responsible for the education of your child. You're responsible for what your child input. You're responsible for everything else. Because like we knew how cheap fruits and vegetables were, had a chicken farm, uncle owned an actual pig farm, goat farm, an actual, cattle production of actual resources. So we knew how cheap it was to produce food. But if you cannot get loans to expand your actual craft, you're going to be limited to very few things happening within an environment. You are. Like most of the bigger farms had like, the FDA and like these are things that my grandparents did not understand about like farm banks that I understood by the time by the time I graduated high school. But there was no places where you can complain to about these things, even though they're very complex issues. I was able to be able to look. This is what's happening. This is what's going on somewhere else. We're not getting this assistance in this area for these reasons. And what I was able to figure out was based on hours of reading, hours of going to the library, hours of doing this, one, that, and the other. And they was like, we don't even speak the same language that you speak. What are you talking about? Being interested and invested in the actual process? What are you talking about? We can barely get XYZ amount of people show up to vote. We're in the Delta. It is quite blue, but the rest of the state is red. So how are we going to be able to get these answers and outcomes and resources? It was like we got to move somewhere else. To them, that was like move somewhere else. Like here, we could barely survive here. How can we move somewhere else? And that's when my grandfather would like take me by the hand and take me into the back room. He was like, "Son, you know a lot of things. The things that you say frighten these people. They don't like being frightened by the lack of practical application. You could talk to me about these things, but you cannot talk to these other people about these things because they're gonna think you're crazy." they're gonna think you're crazy. I'm like, grandfather, it's so easy if we just participated and actually lobby for this amount of things. Just like, son, you don't understand. None of these people participate in the process. They don't even understand what you're talking about. You're speaking a different language than what's here. You could talk to me about these things. You have to translate it into action for these actual individuals, but most of these people they don't want to be involved in the practical application piece because what they think other people have set up for them to get for free. And I'm like, I don't know that you're right. And he was like, you know what? What did you just say? I'm like, sir, I don't know that you're right. And he was like, you better not fucking say that in front of no one else in this entire planet unless it's me, you, or your father, me and you, or your mother, me and you. Because when you say that to me in front of other people, they're going to expect me to strike you down where you stand at. But I will explain to you why you're wrong without being in front of all these other people. And when you think that I'm wrong, I will explain to you behind the scenes why this can't happen with these actual people. But I thought that everybody operated on the same level that I did. I thought that if people followed the directions that I did, the things that I knew that I thought that were actual normal and rational for people to think, I didn't know that people didn't think this stuff. I had no idea that no one would even research this stuff. I had no idea that no one cared about this stuff to that level that I did because I was an outcome based thinker. Why don't we do what these other people did? My grandfather come up and be like, what are you talking about? We don't have the numbers for that. The numbers are what? We got the numbers of outcomes of non participation. He was like, you cannot transfer the people of non participation into participants based on the way you're doing things. Why not? It's the right thing to do. He was like, son, don't you understand the right thing to do is to maintain the certain level of circumstances? This is what these people have invested in. I'm like, you got to be wrong. I have to be wrong? Come with me. We get in the Cadillac of his that he uses a cab. Let's drive around the city. This is where most people work at. Why do you think most people work there? These are the loans that they're able to get. Did they move? Did the additional amount of money make these people want to go after better things and better circumstances? It was like it didn't. None of those things worked. It didn't work for a very specific reason. The point was you reached the nexus of lack of participation, lack of understanding, and lack of action. It's a nexus point. What's a nexus point? Okay, you know how to recall information. And here's his book on nexus points. Why don't you read all these books on nexus points and then come talk to me in a week? Come talk to him in a week. I'm like, are we that weak? Really? Are we really that weak? Then why is it that I understand it and they don't? That was my question. And he just like, you see how many sons and daughters that I have. I've been trying to teach this my entire life to these people. And they still don't want to understand what it is that you simply read and understood. And I stormed out. I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe the simple fact that these things were so easy for other people to pick up that other people are going to figure this stuff out before we do. He was like, as soon as there is a new bottom floor of individuals who are actually restricted by caste and not by race, they're going to clean us all out of here, white and black together. And that's where we are at now. People come here, they're not any smarter than anyone else, they're just more participatory than most people here. And guess what? They figured this stuff out. They're able to make money and buy real estate and everything else without having social security numbers and everything else. And that's what it is. He warned me. He warned me. This is 1987. Warned me that the people who come here without a racial or social caste system is going to outpace people who are here. Then start paying attention to the Jews, start paying attention to the Chinese, start paying attention to most Asian people overall. Wow, those people came here. They worked in bakeries or whatever. They own that minuscule business in that area, but their children highly productive. Same thing happened in Denver. Those people came here. They were actual people who work for these contractors. They didn't have any skills, created a bunch of highly productive kids. This is why highly productive kids were doctors, lawyers, everything else. Why? It was a socialization piece. Did the actual socialization piece need to be exhibited by the previous generation? No. But it can be exhibited by the current level of individuals who are there. Went to the library when I was in Cadillac, Michigan, the nearest library. Nearest library, go in the library, there's nearly every single book that you can actually find on Audible in the library. No need to have an Audible subscription. Even though I do have one, they got all the stuff there for free. You can check it out for free. And I'm like, and the only people that you see paying attention and actually engaging in these obviously free enterprises are people who are not black and people who are not white. Spend there all day with their actual kids. They're not at black and they're not white. They just got here. They can't believe the level of information that is available to them for free to make themselves better for free. No excuses involved, no anything else is involved. They know. But there had to be a person who actually cared about what they actually knew at the time to get them to invest in the things of their actual future. Like I said, the previous generation was people who worked for less than minimum wage for the most part. They now own those actual businesses. Children became more productive. But the children are always supposed to be more productive than the adults. That's the point. My grandfather understood that. He couldn't socialize that among the individuals that he was around. He couldn't socialize among his sons and daughters. Some people got it, some people didn't. Once they got the ability to be free of the cultural responsibility to be better, they turned into different human beings. And he told me about that too. A guy who was far older than I was, after I actually looked up his actual birth certificate, I'm like, what the fuck is this dude 100? So what the fuck? Why it? He talked to me like I was an adult, associated me really like I was an adult, made me figure out these things like I was an adult, made me understand things as if actually I was an adult. Why is it that all these other individuals basically look like because they didn't want to get it? They want to fit into the current environment. Then they did want to solve these problems. They got their voice because he was like, boom, you have a pro black uncle named this. I suggest you go listen to him. He's here around these women and these people. Why don't you go listen to him? This is what the practical application piece looked like. What? Like, why is he saying all this stuff and he's not practicing any of it? That's the thing. He's not trying to practice any of it, son. Point is, he want to make it look like he has the answers, where he's not practicing any answer to anything. I'm like, does anybody else know this? They all know that. to one point, position, or another, but they want to feel better about the current circumstances that they're in, then to feel even better about circumstances when these problems are over with. What? You mean to tell me that these people wasted their time trying to be feel better about what they currently are on, not what currently can be? He was like, yes, it's that simple. That simple. It can't be that simple. It can't be. It can't be that simple. That these people haven't got it yet because they haven't tried. I don't believe that they haven't tried. He was like, why don't you go out there and convince them? And he was like, look, I think you're old enough for the age of reason, and this is why I can talk to you. Even at my age, I could talk to you like this. And you're going to figure out how old I am way after I'm gone. But at the end of the day, I need to talk to you like an adult so that way you can understand how things work. Like, why do I need to understand how things work? It's like if you want progress, you need to understand how things work before progress. Because if you have a lack of understanding of how things work, but you want progress, you'll never make it. The highest thing that you'll become is a martyr for other people. All right, there we go. We're back. I have a phone call. But at the end of the day, it's like you don't need to understand any of these things that you think you need to understand. Lost men are trying to get you to understand things that you don't need to be wasting time on. I mean, like this guy right here or this guy right here, like, yeah, let's sleep on your mother's couch because your mother is a decent person to hang out with. She does all the great things and all these other things, but at the end of the day, these individuals aren't, they don't have good outcomes. What do you mean? I'm like, okay, how many kids they have? I don't know if they have any kids or not. Like, no, all these people have kids. Are they around their children? I'm like, I don't think I've ever met their sons and daughters. Like, no, they have sons and daughters. I track them. Look at the actual what was considered an org chart back then. This person had these many kids. This person had that many kids. These are the actual. This person is that person and that person. And I'm like, who are these people? How come they're not here? They're not here because they couldn't follow simple directions, and they decided to go their own way after they knew better. I'm like, that can't be the case that these people knew how the outcomes were, that they didn't listen to you, and that they didn't try to do anything better than the previously failed generation that's right in front of their face. And it was like, prove me wrong. What city you want to go to first? You want to go to Detroit? You want to go to Chicago? You want to go to Milwaukee? Where do you want to go? And he was like, nobody's going to question that you're a young ass child on a bus. No one cares about that. You'll go in the summer. You're going to summer, you'll know these people, they'll treat you very well, but you need to pay attention about the circumstances. The men who lead the household and the women who allow these men to be around them. And I'm like, holy shit. He's willing to send me on these actual things to actually go do that. What's going on, Jay Shine? What's going on, she? Definitely mind some clicks. Quiz the Prince, Cynical One, Lonzu, Elohim, The Rock, the Kingpin. But at the end of the day, it was like, I didn't want to believe it. I did not want to believe it. I'm sorry. I did not want to believe that he was right about all this stuff. I didn't. So when they was trying to be like, well, your son's smart, but we need to give him easier education and easier things. And maybe you want $150 a month for producing such a great child. It's like, we don't need money. We grow our own food. She was like, you grow your own food? The fuck you mean you grow your own food? It's November. I'm like, yeah, this is what we do in the winter. This is what we do over the summer. And my child needs to be in AP classes. And they were like, well, your son doesn't qualify to be in AP classes because we can decide who belongs in AP classes. And it's like, I'm just sitting here in front of me, and he told me what the conversation is going to be like, and it was like, okay, why don't you give us a book so that way we can be able to clearly demonstrate to you that you haven't done this with other children, but you want to do it with my child, though. Give me this, call me by a real name. Why don't you go to the chalkboard in this principal office and go solve this equation? I go up there, solve the equation. The person look at me, shocked, horrified. There's no way that this is happening within the environment to which you are. You live in this area, this zip code. There's no way that a child, well, you didn't graduate from this school, because that's where the original legacy actual admissions came from, was those actual schools for those individuals who's going to treat their children exactly how they treated their actual parents, by the way. Before it became a college level thing, it was a southern based level thing. It was an actual, we're going to treat these children this way, and we're going to treat these children this way if they graduated from this school, under this caste, under this system. So don't think that the actual legacy admissions is something that's new. Legacy admissions is something that's very old. That's very old. Especially once some Jews started knocking out these test scores according to the actual situation, they had to make sure that they actually papered over the actual other white students with actual genetic level based actual individuals that was there. And they knew to pass those individuals with subpar grades and all that kind of other stuff, so that way they can have the actual Rolodex of power without the grades of actual power itself. Again, these things are new to us now. They were not new to how things operated before. Again, I'm going to introduce you to this as a young guy. Father was a over the road truck driver. He never told my father about any of this shit, but he made sure that I experienced all this stuff at a younger age, read the actual history about how these things actually worked, and made sure that I understood that you are to socialize this stuff as normal among your peer group that you're around. Because I can't talk to everybody about this because they think I'm crazy, right? But at the end of the day, he told me about the actual pro blacks, stolen valor, stole the history of those things, turn it into spoken word, art form, rather than actually participate in the process and make results. Taught me about those things, had me read papers about those things, had me know these actual people's names and all this stuff. That's why I never did live streams though. Why? I know the outcomes. But I also know the people who taken over these actual individual things and turn it into an art form of spoken word. The art form of spoken word is not to participate, which I'm going to go over on this weekend coming up. So that way you can understand before they actually pretend like they care about the 2024 election, like they care about any other election, about how they run a game on people. Again, this is the new level and era of the Black Manosphere. While you stay tightly contested to the information piece around relationships and dating, dude, we've been past that shit years ago. 8 years ago, we was past this shit. They're gonna know who you are about what you talk about. They're gonna know that you're not Black Manosphere about what you talk about. If you're trying to save unsavable women and unfuckwithable men, you're not going to be part of the Black Manosphere. I'm sorry, you've actually tuned into the wrong channel. Again, doesn't matter. There's far more people who care about what I care about than these actual subscribers actually deem so. There are far more. This is a very subsegment of individuals who do not care. But we're going to be able to fix it like you fix everything else. Find an untenable position and actually challenge these actual points that people are doing real time. Again, a guy who's 50, 60 years older than most people there could figure this stuff out. Couldn't socialize it among the entire group. Couldn't socialize it among his daughters. Definitely could socialize it among his wife. But at the end of the day, a lot of these people wanted an easier handle on all these other things. That's what they wanted. They wanted an easier handle. What's going on, AM1? I know I can't see you for some reason because that's how YouTube works. But what's going on, man? But we got to be able to do something else differently with the actual opportunity that we have to be able to socialize other people into failing on purpose. Like you're gonna be able to do anything. Could a moderator repost a link so that way I could talk to AM1? Could somebody repost the link who is a moderator so that way I can have AM1 come on and actually talk about these things? Because for some reason he can't see me, I can't see him, but that's where we're at. Could someone repost the Streamlark link? Who's the moderator? So that way he could be able to. Okay, all right. Jay Shine did it. But you have to understand that being able to destroy a concept of men coming together and solving problems isn't anything that even a black woman would do. It's only something that a person who don't care about progress would actually do itself. A lack of effort is where we're at right now. We have a lack of effort, a lack of understanding, lack of. This has been an ongoing thing throughout life. Like most of these Latinos come here, they know that they got to get skilled when they come here. Like I know a lot about the Latino community. I know a lot about the Asian community. Doesn't matter whether it's Polynesian or Vietnam or Chinese or Japanese. I know exactly how their culture works. You come here, they give you a place to stay, they give you a couple weeks, not months, to decompress about your actual stay here, and then you gotta get to work. You gotta get to work. Everybody starts off in the kitchen at some other restaurant with the Latinos and Mexicans, like Venezuelans and Ecuadorians and all that other shit. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to move up. They're not focused on sex when they get here. They're focused on making sure that that temporary stay inside that Catholic person's house is going to be temporary. And there are plenty of people who cannot wait for a person who will want to accept the bare minimum of things and accept the actual outcomes of those things. What's going on, one? What's going on, man?
What's going on, sir?
Chilling out, man. Trying to do things differently in the 2024. What's going on, man? I like your interview that you did with Super Sly.
Yeah, man, you already know what it is. Just like the same stuff I've been talking about, we've been talking about, just the progress piece. If we're going to talk black manosphere, black male progress, just that and the third, we've been talking that for years. But it's like, how do we progress from that? And then how do we deal with the fact that we got grown ass men and younger lost men out here that actually are trying to hold us back and set us back? You know, we've been banging our heads up against that. And salute to you for fighting the good fight. I wanted to kind of pivot to some content that offers direct solutions, or at the very least, waves it in people's faces on why they're not getting somewhere, not achieving goals, and just focusing on the health element, the fitness relative to physical and mental fitness, right? So that's where I'm at with it. Solutions, only solutions, avoiding the fuckery with dudes complaining and want to come get at you for clicks and clout. It's just weird. You already know.
Yeah, I mean, but like, bro, like the biggest way to actually get clout is to challenge power in society. That's the biggest way to get clout, to challenge society. I mean, don't we have the Malcolm X's, the fucking Martin Luther Kings, the fucking Marcus Garveys? Like, what the fuck were they doing? They weren't doing live streams online trying to challenge random people and jumping up on panels. No, 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 no. These people were out here changing public policy, and that's why they came after them, for changing public policy about how they did business in America. Like, dude, they'd be pissed off and actually unimaginably embarrassed about these people who picked up the shit that they talked about and trying to repackage it into some bullshit so that way they could be able to survive off
Right. Wow. When you put it in that perspective, comparatively to what some of these people were doing and at relatively younger ages than some of these guys, and how much ground they made versus in the era of technology and convenience, people being keyboard warriors and actually not only not fighting the bigger system, but actively holding other people back for the purposes of, I don't know, a little bit of YouTube fame, a little bit of YouTube change, and just the attention. Like that idea that we would get pushback from guys from talking about actual progress and using lightspeed communication to like compare notes in, you know, at the very least inspire brothers to apply strategies in life, move forward. It's just mind blowing. So yeah, I mean, to put in that perspective, to compare it, like wow, it's mind blowing to even think of it that way. It's just that much more embarrassing, to your point.
I mean, but you can't blame women for not getting your shit together. Can you really blame women for you not
No.
personally being able to get your shit together? Like your lack of peen and puss is the reason why you're not getting your shit together as
Fam,
a
I
man?
mean,
What
it's
is this? What's going on?
it's so like ridiculous that you gotta laugh at it low key while at the same time being enraged by it. If you care about some kind of like optics on, you know, if there's a black male collective, the overall optics and how that's sort of tainting my brand as an extension of my brand, I refuse to accept that you can't get ahead or move in life because of anything external. I mean, you could talk oppressive forces and all that. We are born into certain systems and whatnot. Okay, whatever. But opting into dealing with women slash dumb women. I mean, sure, biological urges, you want to hook up, you want to do this, you want to get married, you want family, great. But your selection process got to be that much more dialed in. But either way, it's not, you know, I started to ramp up that discussion as I kind of faded away from the sort of black manosphere, black YouTube thing. Just kind of like, look, fam,
Okay.
no,
I mean,
nobody.
you have to. You have
I'm saying,
to keep it
well, no,
sane. You have
obviously,
to.
obviously that, right, and that was part of my whole like sort of physical mental health progression. Like my life is getting better and better. But what I was about to say is kind of fading away and dialing in more on the thing of, fam, nobody owes you anything. You are not owed a woman. You're not owed the white picket fence, 2.5 kids and a dog. You're not owed any of that. You have to be a man before or after, with or without a woman. It just kicks the legs out from all these arguments where it's like, fam, nobody owes you anything. These women don't owe you anything. So, on the flip side of that, for you to try to act like your lack of access to women or what women are saying online is holding you back in some kind of way is completely laughable.
That's crazy. Like, bro, like I wish a woman would hold me back from going to Denver Technical College and learn about fucking Oracle.
Fam, it's
Was it
not. I
really a
wish,
fucking woman? Like, get the
fam,
fuck out of here.
I
Like, bro, I
wish
was a
a chick
bounty
would.
hunter on the road. all the fucking time, trying to lock up murderers and fucking rapists, crofts, and they was like, "Well, you could just go to school and you can just not do this shit." I'm like, "Are you serious?" And they was like, "Yeah, the school and we can pay for it for you." And I'm like, this person just solved my entire problem that I didn't even know I had. And they were like, I mean, because I went on the road with Dr. Bounty Hunter, and most people in Colorado own this shit because you don't need to be certified in Colorado to work for these actual companies. But it's like, wait a minute. I have a play, I have a Montgomery GI Bill, I have an actual zero down home loan on the actual house if I can make enough money to afford one. What the fuck am I doing out here? So what I did, I turned around, like, look, went to all these clubs. Look, if you miss your fucking court date, I'm the dude who you need to call to make. And then I made more money than I did ever bounty hunting. Why? Learn about the process that I was engaged in. Learn about the process that I was actually engaged in and doing other shit. I'm like, dude, I can make more money by just going to these clubs and just figuring out these people's court dates and shit than I am on the road for bullshit. And it's like, it took me to figure that out. No one taught me that. I had to figure that shit out on my own.
So you're saying you were working a certain way, a certain career path,
Yes,
maybe just
I
a
was.
job. You wanted to, you weren't entirely happy with it. You wanted to make
No.
certain changes. So you did
Yeah.
this real like strange thing where you like took initiative, took advantage of certain things that you could take advantage of. Went and what I don't know. I could use the word like sacrifice time, but I would say invested time into building yourself up, building your money game up, aka your freedom game up, your option game up. Took advantage of those other opportunities. You were able to. I mean, it's weird that you're saying you did that and then you like changed your life because you focused
No,
on it.
and here's the thing. You know who told me about this shit? A dude who I was locking up. A dude who I
Wow.
was locking up was like, bro,
Wow.
take me over to this spot right here. We're not going to jail right away. I want to tell you how you can make more money this way than you can this way. And I'm like,
Wow.
look, I can tell you about how you're gonna change your life this way with addicts than this way. So we sat down over 3 days. I told him about having working addicts, he'll be better off selling dope. And he told me about having going to all these clubs and being the dude that's known for changing your fucking court date. I could make a far more money than I can working for a bounty hunter. And we exchanged information. Then I got him off the streets, got his boys off the streets. We started talking like, damn, I want to bring this dude on, but he can't keep his mouth closed about certain shit. So I can't bring him on. Like I can't bring on the
Unbelievable.
first woman that I wanted to fucking marry because she wants to run her mouth about other shit too. So it's like the dude was like, bro, you could have been doing this shit the entire time. And I'm like, you could have been doing this shit the entire time. Because he was like, wait a minute, you can teach me to do what? I'm like, yeah, man, the only thing you need is 20 or 30 addicts. You know 20 or 30 addicts. I've been through your phone system. These people work. Why are you out here serving random motherfuckers? He was like, because I need the money. I'm like, well, you wouldn't need the money if you actually did this with your actual time outside there. I'm like, the only time they come out here is because of random shit happens and you the biggest dude in the area. Let's say you're not the biggest dude in the area. Now you're not being gone after shit, and you know you have all this information and the rumors and all that other shit. You need to work with these people and these people. Like that's why there's a random tip line for dudes like you in this situation. I'm like, damn, I ain't looking like it like
So
this.
wait, hold
But
on. Let me dial this back real quick though, because this is super
yeah,
interesting, right? Because it's like
yeah,
the biology or the
yeah,
biography of MOT. But I mean, the
yeah,
real point overall is, or that I'm taking away from this based on the story is, you wanted to make some changes. You were making changes. You actually got laced up with some game from somebody you went out and caught and told you a
yes,
more strategic and efficient way to level your position up. And then
yes,
you acted on that. And then fast forward, you acted on more and more things. I'm only outlining it that way because that's where I'm at in life with it, man. Like I've made certain moves, sacrifice, aka invested. And when I say sacrifice like that, I say that because the more I'm interacting with people, because I'm moving in this direction of this fitness coaching, but I'm approaching it from a standpoint of physical fitness and mental fitness because I'm a videographer. But I sacrifice time away from partying and kicking it for the sake of
Correct.
kicking it in fun. And
Yes.
went and learned and laced up my game with video and motion graphics and read and read and read about media and propaganda and filmmaking. And then I pivoted my life into a career of doing that. And I've been doing that for the greater part of the last decade. And I've created more freedom for myself than I could have ever imagined, and more than most people I've grown up with in my, immediate family. I say that to say the idea of somebody complaining about not moving forward, especially
Oh,
if that
bro.
complaint, if that
Crazy.
complaint, if that complaint is rooted in something that I'm opting into is holding me back. I'm like, I don't know where to even start with how ridiculous that is, because you'll see what I'm saying when I say this. You start taking advantage, focusing in, taking advantage of those opportunities, then you realize, oh, that opportunity led to this opportunity, to that opportunity, to that opportunity. And if you stay focused and dialed in, how could you not level your life up in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? Like, right?
That dude owned 3 shops on the west side. That dude owned 3 shops on the west side based on that information I gave him 20 some years ago.
Wow.
And he owns like right now. If my car broke, or like he owns a tow truck shop. He can get your hydraulics put on your shit, airbags put on your shit. He was like, look, if you get this dude's name, your game's good. Your name's good as gold here. We'll have your shit at the front of the list. And like people didn't understand how I started moving these people into one zone and getting them off the fucking streets and all this other shit. But because you wasn't supposed to teach these people this shit. You wasn't supposed to teach these people this shit at all. You wasn't supposed to show them a better way. You're supposed to hold these people in this actual circumstance. I'm like, bro, listen, man, get the fuck out of this shit. This how you get out of it. And he was like, is it really that simple? I'm like, it's that fucking simple if you want to follow simple directions. He was like, look, well, I need to do this and I need to do that, and I'll be here at this point in time. I'm like, all right, man, I'm not. I get more money out of obviously locking your ass up, but I really want you to have some good outcomes here.
So wait,
So
you
you,
say a guy that you had to go catch, he dropped some
yes,
gems on you and you dropped some
yes,
gems on him? Okay.
yes, and the back of the because you can't just let these motherfuckers walk around, but you got to feed them on the way back to your actual state.
Hmm.
And we were just talking and shit, and we was like,
So he took advantage of the opportunities presented when he was getting hemmed up by you, getting
yes, yeah, yeah. So I'm like, look, man, bro, like if you could make it all the way the fuck out here like this, you could have did this and you could have did that and you could have because I'd have this conversation because we have to have this. I don't have to have this conversation all the way back, especially when you catch somebody 2 or 3 states over. But we gotta have something to talk about other than this. Listen to this, because the fucking back then they didn't have XM or any of that other shit, and even if you did, they wasn't gonna pay for this shit. And you just had to go through having a dope ass radio station in some area, and that's just gonna be 2 hours, and then nothing to
into
talk about.
static.
So like, yeah,
Static.
man. So how the fuck you getting this shit? I'm like, bro, did you realize all the shit you could have got into and all this other shit? I'm like, bro, the bitch who's snitching on you, because it's always bitches who snitch on these fucking street niggas. By the way, it's always the woman who they think they're down for them, who's selling them out for like a better Section 8 spot, right? I'm like, bro, this is the woman who snitched on you. I'm like, bro, like you, I'm like, bro, you, this bitch you think you beating the back out of, and she's down, like, bro, she turned you in. She turned you to. She gave us all the information, bro. She gave you your GPS coordinate. Go ahead. Like, hold on. We're not gonna kill nobody. What we're gonna do is we're gonna figure out between this 16-hour drive about how you about to fix this shit. And they're like, oh shit, blah blah blah. I'm like, bro, you ain't gotta be a part of none of this shit. This shit is optional. This shit you doing, penny packs, this turn into this, that turn into this because you didn't show up to court dates. You can get through
Wow.
all this shit. And it's like once
Goofy.
you start talking to these people about talking them out of giving up this fucking lifestyle and going to get some actual shit. Because like back in the early, like even the late '90s, none of these dudes qualified for actually these workforce programs in the state. But once you start changing the actual laws where anybody can show up, anybody did start showing up. And this I'm like, look, okay, so now you got all this time equity and 20 addicts. Great. Here's what we about to do for you. We about to get you into this class. Like, man, I don't know about that shit. Like, bro, we already got you in, man. Your name, your real name, government name. Yeah, this is where you at. Are you sure I can get in that? Yeah, you can get in that. This is what the shit is. I don't know. I ain't got a look, bro. Got a monthly bus pass right here. Here you go. What other excuse you got? I don't know about my kid, bro. Boom. Got a place for your kids to drop your kids off at. Is there anything else you got? Any other excuses? How come you ain't about to do this shit?
Yeah, I was
Man, I
just
ain't
about to
never
say
had to do
you was
no.
basically relieving guys of their excuses,
Oh
getting
yeah, oh yeah,
excuses
yeah.
out the way.
All of them, all of them. And I'm like, bro, what else you got? Cause I got you solved. We got 16 hours to go. I'm gonna get this money, but I want to make sure that you ain't not about to skip this other court date to where we have to go out here and do this shit. Because if they make the next court date, you ain't gotta go find the motherfucker and all this other shit. He was like, well, man, let me tell you something about your job.
Huh.
What are you talking about? Well, did you know that you didn't even have to come here and come get me? If you just would have got me a different court date, that you wouldn't even have to come out here? What are you talking about? Okay, this is how the court system works. And the dude gave me like an encyclopedic court date shit that the actual document people didn't give me. And I'm like,
Wow.
nah, there ain't no way in the motherfucking hell that this shit is that easy. I'm like, yeah. And this is why you work for these people for this reason because they didn't give you that information. And I'm like, all right, well, you know what? I'm about to call the court people. Call up with your case, and you start talking as if you're me. I'm about to give you my social security number and my fucking, ID number and all that shit. We already had him a different court date, and we didn't even have to pick him up. But we driving him back. And so it was like, look, I thank you for the ride back. Like that's what the fucking conversation was. I thank you for the ride back, cause I ain't had no way back. Fuck you talking about? Yeah, man.
Wow.
No, I'll tell you later on. And then like he like once you drive through like Texas and Mexico, like all right man, so this is how this shit gonna work. I'm gonna tell you some shit that you shouldn't even be able to know. And then I knew that the motherfuckers who I was working with, there's some people I shouldn't even working with that I should do this shit right here. And that's how I got known for the guy who can't give you an extra court date. So, I knew all the DJs, all the clubs, all the strip clubs, everything else. You miss your fucking court date. This is the dude you call. He's on the up and up, and even though dudes are I since being locked up 20 some years ago, get out, they give me a call. I can still get them contact. It's just a realistic shit to get them helped out. Cause I told them that my number's not gonna change, and I'm gonna help you out when you fucking get out, if you get out. Cause people get behind bars, they fucking do some other shit behind there. I'm like, hey man, you need to make sure that you don't join any of that shit when you go in there. You ain't gotta do none of that shit. But a lot of people think that they do. So it's like all this shit came from just exchanging information about, hey man, you ain't gotta do this shit. And he was like, well, you ain't gotta do that shit either. And that's how
But wait, this is a while. This is like 20 years ago, right?
yes, yeah, 20 some years
It,
ago, yeah.
so let me ask you this though, because from what I'm hearing in that story, and just the whole thing of I theoretically anyone hates to get to a certain point and look back and be like, damn, if only I would have did this. I'm thinking about what you just told me and the fact that you took action on what that dude that you was picking up told you. And this is back in a time where we didn't have as much information
No man,
and
there was no
distract.
internet, bro. There was no none of
Right,
that
that's what
shit,
I'm
bro.
saying. So what I'm
And bro,
saying
I
is
had to
this.
put my programs on a fucking floppy disk and fucking send it over the internet to a nigga. Like, bro, this is when that shit was the shit. Like,
He
because I
said
was still in
floppy disk.
IT. Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, at the time, or else burn the program onto a disk and actually send it to
Right,
him in the fucking mail. And it was like
right.
this dude just solved all my motherfucking problems, and I made like 4 times as much money.
But wait, hold on, because I'm trying to fast forward it forward
Yeah,
though, because what do you think is the? I mean, I kind of know the answer, but I'm curious to know what you would say. The mental glitch of how we came from a more time that was more rugged, at least by virtue of not having the technology that makes it that much more convenient. What is making these dudes generate and take inaction on every possible excuse to not move forward? You
because
know,
they think
now.
it. Okay, I could tell you why. They think it is a verified position point on where they're actually going to the end of the story.
Wait,
They
what do you
think that
mean?
going through they think that going through baby mama drama is the only way that you could think you can come out here slaying hoes. Is that if you have to go
Wait,
through
what?
a whole bunch of baby mama drama? A lot of these niggas think this shit. I'm not lying. I'm not
I
gonna
don't
lie.
understand. Wait, that the way you even said it don't even make sense. Hold on.
Okay, I'll say it again. A lot of these niggas think because they suffer some level of consequences for situations that they are not supposed to be in,
Right.
make them good at the consequences that they are now facing. It's that fucking simple. I know it's stupid as fuck. I got brothers who go through this shit, but I've listened to these stories hundreds of times through older uncles and all this other shit. That's how
Hey,
simple it is. That's how
hey,
fucking simple it is.
hey. Just I love like man. We've been having these chats for a while, but just the way you be wording stuff, be having me dying. The phrases you be coming up with. But the way you just broke that down, I'm trying to put that like on a chart or like make a graphic out of that. Like, wait, this leads to this, leads to this. It's
Yeah,
like, wait, so it's like a
it's that
circle. So
fucking
wait,
stupid.
I'm gonna like maximize my exposure about the complaints so it makes me good at being in this position and henceforth I
Yes,
can't change my position because then if I change my position I'm no longer good at crying about the
yes.
position I'm in.
That's exactly what it is. It's not
Like
hard.
the
It's
flow
literally not
chart.
hard. Like, bro, it's not like I don't have Latino uncles and fucking white uncles and Native American uncles. I got all that shit. And all these people said the exact same fucking thing my grandfather said. The exact same thing. It's just that it happened like 20 years earlier.
It's just wild to think of that. And what you're saying
Yes.
echoes a lot of like people I've grown up with and people I'm still around. I mean, out here in the Bay. A lot of excuses as to why people can't move forward. People who are making decent money, I mean, relative to this area, even still have complaints about why they can't do this other thing. And
Yes.
it's like, yeah, it's a
First
weird
thing
thing.
when
It's
you
like,
bring up a simple solution, they're claiming like, bro, if this shit was this simple, I wouldn't be here. Therefore, these are these pre-made excuses. And then they have these, yes, pre-made, boilerplate, already pre-believed in, never been really fucking experienced. They don't even have to fucking experience the fucking consequences to believe in them. They already have bought into the system that this is part and parcel what I need to go through to be a man. They've already bought into the shit. They've already bought
okay,
into it
okay, it's what I need to
without
go through
proof.
to be a man. But when do you
Yes.
get to the point of being a man or woman, but achieving more freedom in a life, in a world that if you play your cards right, it can be abundant with opportunities and abundant with money and all this type of shit. Like, I've
Boom.
just
That's lame. That is lame. Like that is lame.
for,
AM1 to
freedom
to
in
deal
like
with a bitch without consequences is fucking lame to these niggas. That's what it is. Like if you want to deal with a bitch, you gotta have the bitch taking half of your ear off and half of your fucking head off with it. You gotta be able to suffer consequences from the bitch in order for you to deal with a bitch. Like all these people who claim all this game, bro. Listen, if you ask them about the consequences, these people got tons of consequences they can't wait to fucking tell you about. From baby mama drama to fucking picking up kids and can't picking them up on time, all that shit. No one who have all this success with these so-called women that they're good at can actually demonstrate it. It's an undemonstratable position. It's always been that shit. It's
so
always
wait,
been.
wait. So now you make me think again, and I was talking to Sly about that, the supply or the demand. We understand at least to some degree the motives of content creators who claim they want black male advocacy and better black men while leading them into a circular position of a flow chart back to where you started or worse, because you just wasted time over 5, 6, 7 years. I've been fucking with this black manosphere type shit, damn near 8 years. I'm like, fam, y'all not only standing still, you hustling backwards, going nowhere fast. To the tune of what other content creators make money off that, and I hope they're investing properly and moving forward. I hope
They're
somebody's
not.
winning.
They're not. Like that's why they're talking about crypto and shit. It's like
Somebody got to be winning.
no, nobody's winning. Like that's the whole point. It's whole of fucking dream state. This is why you need like C Hova and fucking Super Sly and Ty City and Ramil to point this shit out to these people because I can't point out the entire circle. They can. I can't. They can because I'm only telling you to dodge this shit. They're only telling you to dodge this shit and for what reason? But if you put the dodge this shit and the for what reason together, you already know the content creators for a year who's telling you that. So let's see Hova and motherfucking Super Slide mock these niggas for claiming that they're Manosphere niggas. They're not Manosphere niggas. They never fucking moved to no type of fucking outcomes. They never been Manosphere niggas. They're looking for more niggas to hang out with online, not to move toward individual outcomes. That's
And
why you
here's the
need
thing, like
everybody else outside of that.
that whole thing is weird to me, right? Because I mean, it's just straight facts, not to brag. I've made moves and had successes in a real world kind of way with real people and
Yeah,
real businesses and
yeah.
real business owners before I ever came into this whole Black YouTube thing. Like I came in here because O'Shea literally invited me to come talk about doing video work, which I was already doing. So I only say
I
that to
wouldn't even have
say,
dude. I wouldn't have a channel without O'Shea, Angry Man, especially BGS. That fucking live stream we did about 9 years ago about me being a business owner and me not hiring child support niggas, and I explained why, and people didn't even want to recognize that there was another fucking live stream after that live stream was over that everybody was on, and I had to change my fucking ways and I got better outcomes. Nobody wants to talk about the better outcomes that I had because I had that conversation in front of them. No one wants to talk about that. Everybody wants to talk about the fact that I don't hire child support niggas. And then I explain why they're, and all that shit was like, well, I wouldn't hire child support niggas either. Shit, they'll call me that much money. I'm like, but I need a fucking solution. And then they gave me a solution. Did they give me credit for
isn't
coming
that
up with
the
a better
point of
solution? I
isn't
never
that the
got
point of
credit
what
for a better solution.
a black male space is supposed to be about? Give a perspective, somebody else give another perspective, and then if you see value in that, you change. And apparently you did that, but
But
people
I
don't want to
did
focus on
change
that.
because of what my anger man argument was. Like what he fucking
No,
told me at the
I
end
know,
of
I
my
know the story. I know the story. I'm only saying it to the degree that it just is that much more of a thing that collapses the narrative. That I push back against a lot. Where it's like, hey, there is no black manosphere because if the ultimate point isn't men bettering their position, black men bettering their position, how is there a black manosphere if the
there
focus
isn't
is
one.
beefing and conflict and clout chasing and just hold younger guys in a position of weakness just so you can get views and clicks and maybe a little Patreon money or some super chats. Like you actually talk to some other guys, change the position and won off that. People should be saluting that. Like,
But at the end of the day, I was never supposed to do that. But this is why most of like a lot of people know the fucking story. I can't be the only one who knows this. BGS knows the fucking story. He was there. A lot of people know. Like Jay Sean was there. Like Sub Zero was there. Like people know the fucking story, but at the end of the day, they don't. It's not their job to come out here to educate these dudes. But at the end of the day, I'm the bad guy because I don't want to accept a certain level of 9 year ago conversation when I've been past that shit already. At the end of the day, it's not O'Shea's fault. It's not BGS's fault. It's not Obsidian's fault. It's not Angry Man's fault that you ain't fucking succeeding in life. You learn to look up to these type of dudes so that way you can hide your fucking lack of progression behind these dudes. That's what they're taking advantage of. It isn't the fact that you ain't got your shit together. It's the fact that you went after these actual individuals to blame other people that you didn't have your shit together. It wasn't even the women. Like back then, there wasn't even that many women. It's probably less than 15 in the entire group. And I'm talking about what is this? Like okay, all the women that was over there with Angry Man, it was less than 15 of them total in the actual space. Had nothing to do with the fact the information that I gave you back in the day. It had nothing to do with that. End of the day, a lot of these dudes wanted to look up the street dudes, like broken, damaged, destroyed men want to look up to street dudes and want to be friends with them online. That's what they wanted more than black progress. They wanted black black nigga acceptance, then they wanted black progress. And you got to be honest with that shit. That's what they wanted. That's what they invest in now. At the end of the day, all this and dude, I see people who was in my chat 9 years
Man,
ago over on new channels complaining about bitches, and I don't say shit. I just block them from coming to my shit. And say
where's the
you cannot come
progress?
back. That's what I'm saying. Like, where's the beef? Where's the fucking progress? At the end of the day, they know this shit. They
Hey,
know this
that's
shit.
wild because I've seen that. Like, man, I got homies that I went to middle school, high school with that really tried to go off into some super Bay Area thug life in the 90s that's literally sitting down to this day on life sentences because they wanted to be like thug life. Just and these
My
guys are like suburb
homeboy
guys.
killed somebody in fucking high school on some Menace Society shit. The only reason why that nigga got out of prison was COVID. That dude
Wow,
got out of fucking prison, changed his whole motherfucking life. He was never meant to get out of that. He was never meant to get out of that fucking prison sentence. Never meant to. Dude got out, changed his motherfucking life, gave him a motherfucking place to stay, gave him a motherfucking position to get a fucking CDL. The dude was like, when we was in high school, a cell phone cost about $500 a month. Month. Dude came out, no technology, no access to shit. Cell phones were like $19, $20 a month. Same state. The dude skipped out on all that shit and still had better outcomes with no access to bitches than dudes who was out the entire fucking time. Right now, making over 100 grand a fucking year when he was making no money, working on chain gangs and fucking prison farms when he was in prison for 25 plus fucking years. And if
crazy.
that dude could be given a fucking opportunity and settle his shit out and what he did with his actual new found opportunity, he did not try to invite these hoes in or these dumbass niggas in that he got locked up by, but he did kill some motherfuckers for real. There's some legit shit he did. It was like, bro, and he had money, way more money than anybody. He just said he did some mental society shit when we was in high school, and he had to go down for that shit. But the COVID shit let a lot of motherfuckers out. But a lot of people don't even understand that, bro. These opportunities that you do not motherfucking capitalize on is your fault, not anybody else's.
So that's what I'm talking, man. That whole thing where it's like, fam, the idea of looking back and regrets, and I'm saying that because I've seen a lot of people do
Oh,
it,
I have a lot of
and then
regrets too.
no,
Full blown regrets.
well, sure, but think about it this way, like the phrase, "If I knew then what I know now." So
Yeah.
when I say that because I look back at things like right now, this point, 10 years ago, I set in motion some things that changed my life, that put me into the trajectory where I was able to build a whole career, self-taught in one of the ruggedest places to live, like from a financial perspective, but then be able to have more freedom than most people I've known growing up in my life. I'm saying that based on the work that I do and how I'll make my own schedule. I look at that and I look like, man, if I could apply the same strategies, I could probably like 10x what I did. I can progress myself even more forward, knowing what I know now. So I say that to say, looking back, like, damn, I made those moves. I'm so glad I did do that 10 years ago because where I'm at now. So what happens when I apply that same level of focus and drive and move forward at 45 for the next 10 years, right? Because I'm adjusting for inflation of worldwide fuckery. You feel me? That sounds like some shit
I
you would
mean,
say.
you have to. I mean, I mean, man, like, like, obviously, I have nieces and nephews and cousins of like kids who get it, and then I got people who don't. Like, death in the family happened. Suicide happened. That's why I was still in the South for a while, and I'm like taking him to see some shit, and I'm like, like he just broke down and said, "I wish I was showing this shit 4 years ago. I wouldn't even be here."
Man, there it is.
What? Whoa, 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 what? So you mean tell me that your parents didn't take you anywhere? They didn't do shit. They just brought you here, sat you out here. That was it. He was like, yeah. I mean, like the shit you showed me in the last 3 weeks is the best education I ever got in high school or anywhere else. Dude came back right now, nailing the shit. Straight A's. They think like, where the fuck was this dude who wasn't focused on shit? They're like, so what did you do with the old dude that we didn't give a fuck about? What did you do over 3 weeks that this is a different human being over 3 weeks that he been back in school that we've never seen throughout life? What did you do with him? How do we repeat this across all this agency? Like there's something wrong because he can't be this. I'm like I told him about the outcome. I told him to be an outcome based thinker rather than caring about what these people thinking about him. It can't be that easy. I'm like, it is that fucking easy. I fucking live this shit. It is that fucking easy. And you people don't think you don't teach shit. You teach these people to go through these fucking tests and all this shit. But if you show these people the outcomes of their actual parents and all that shit, they're not gonna hate their fucking parents. They're gonna take pity on them, but they're gonna do better. The same thing that happened with my motherfucking nieces and nephews and shit. I never taught them to hate their motherfucking brothers. My brothers and sisters who fucking birthed them here, these rando bitches, and I never taught them that shit. End of the day, you got to make better decisions on your own. They got the shit. A lot of people don't want to teach that shit. But now I gotta apparently go out here and be a church and be a church organization to teach this simplistic ass shit to dudes. I don't want to do that shit, but if that's the only way I can be able to get these meals, all right, man. Yeah. MOT will be a pastor out here. I guess. As an atheist, I guess. That's what the fuck we gotta do out here to get these people better outcomes. But
Wow.
it doesn't take all that. But people are not investing in the outcomes of their kids though. That's what the fuck is going on.
Man. Well, who had babies. I talked about that. Like I'm willing to look into the darkness of what we're facing. I've heard black struggle my whole life. I've seen fuckery, sure. I understand the historical dynamic, sure.
Yeah, man.
But then I'm like, yeah, I mean, late 70s born, grew up in the dope era, watch how that destroyed families, how it
Yes.
impacted my
All
family,
day.
how it
All
impacted,
day.
cousins, all that, to the point where it's like, okay, cool. Uh oops babies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some of
No
these people
doubt.
that maybe shouldn't be here, uh a struggle that bred more struggle. I'm fully aware of what we're up against. And I say that all that to say, like, man, I take everything as motivation to, I need to get it and move forward. And my level of like gratitude for what I have far outweighs, and my willingness to sacrifice and invest and make moves far outweighs my willingness to sit around and complain.
Oh man, I can't do that shit. Like bro, you talking about a person who used to like cut like motherfucking like electronics from the back of appliances and burn the motherfucking plastic off of them with motherfucking lighter fluid and sell that shit to motherfucking junkyards and shit. Like I've done that shit in my motherfucking life. I fucking chop cotton like weeds away from cotton the same way my grandfather did motherfucking 80 fucking years ago in my fucking lifetime. Why the fuck would I want to repeat that? No, I'm not repeating that shit. We get into the skills and the abilities and we gonna fucking change this shit. And guess what? I came into this shit after I already made some bad decisions and moves. And I still had to do it anyway. I still had to do it. Even after I made those decisions, dude, I was not trying to make sure this culture fucking survived. I want to make sure my grandfather's legacy survived. That he didn't raise some bitch ass niggas who was on some hoe shit. Told me about all this shit work, made all the wrong fucking choices and decisions, and realized, you know what? If I could run around in circles and not make progress, I could definitely move forward, past these motherfuckers and make definite positive progress for my motherfucking self. I ain't got to worry about these old ass fucking battles that these niggas ain't winning their own era, man. Man, fuck that. I got my own battles to fight right now.
So I guess the whole idea of just the self-defeated, self-deprecating like thoughts and
It's a
content, and
generational curse. That's the generational curse that's
let
passed
me
down.
eat popcorn and just sit, and like I'm not happy, so let me go turn on to something that's gonna like help me simmer in my unhappiness. And like I guess kind of like you said, it allows me to like be good at the current position. So I don't want to
Current position of not
change.
fucking trying, bro. Current position of not fucking trying, dude. It's like, and
Oh.
and once I knew that shit was my fault, like once I got to my first base, that dude made it was like, man, you because come from Mississippi, no criminal record, no, you got a high school, dude. You think you're on top of the world till you get to a place like, yeah, man, thanks to the minimum standards. What? 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 Let's get here. I'm in the best. Like, you know what I mean? Shit, everybody got this. That's how you got here. The minimum standards. And then he took me through the actual outcomes. The same way my grandfather took me to the outcomes of these people who are now 50 and 60 years old and claim that they got all these bitches and got all these women pregnant and their sons ain't shit, fucked up DNA, fucked up actual life outcomes and shit. But these children are ended up way better than their adult parents
Uh,
without
uh,
even being shown. That's what the
uh,
show yesterday was about, or fucking a couple of days ago. These people got better outcomes without being taught. The socialization within the environment is fucking major. And these people wanted the black community to be a
man.
place for fucking whack niggas to fucking decompress. These motherfuckers don't even belong around us. Period. These niggas need to be fucking 10 levels below hell below us. And
Or
it's
I don't know,
letting
the
the
push
people who
one of
took advantage of it.
the pushback piece I was getting was like, why do you want to change the manosphere into something about skills and resources or whatever? I was like, well, I'm just saying, like, and I guess that was part of my ignorance. But I mean, yeah, white manosphere, black manosphere, and it's pushback, it's red pill, but it's mostly about women. And I was like, well, the solution to most of the issues in life don't center around women. So if you do these other things that you got to do to really be classified and considered as a man anyway, the woman thing kind of fixes itself on the back end. So why are we going to chop limbs off uh invasive tree or plant or whatever? Then let's get to the root of it. Let's fix that. If we're going to call it black and man, so the idea is just like so mind blowing to me. But to even put it in the context of content creators profiting off of black male pain, let you sit there and sulk, let you stagnate in a position where you're not moving forward to the tune of they little bit of change, they little bit of fame, is just still inconceivable to me. Meanwhile, there's this thing where so-called black collective uh is like, we so oppressed and we so held down, and it's hard being a black man, it's hard being a black woman. I'm like, fam, how many people are here making it harder for you, or you making it harder for yourself? What
You
content
tuning
are you
into the
consuming?
people.
You
No,
tune in it, yeah. Why are you turning that on? And then that's why I expanded it to the health and fitness lane, right? Because this whole thing is huge out here. I've built a career for myself with a lot of that I learned self-taught right here on YouTube. Spent some time interacting with people around the world, around the country, around across the country, around the world on YouTube. So I was like, let me flip that back into another business model. Let's talk health and fitness in my 40s. And because that's all I do is work and work out, but put myself in a position to get more freedom and stay healthy while I get more free. So let me leverage this content thing towards health and fitness from a mental standpoint of, hey, get your mind right, because you're feeding yourself stupid content all day and
yeah,
you eating shitty food all day. A lot of these
correct.
dudes. So it's like the short circuit is just so weird. But it's like, fam, if you fix a lot of this stuff, if getting some pussy is your main agenda, you're gonna have to go do the other groundwork first. Either way. You don't
Shout out
hustle
to Super
backwards.
Chat.
Don't waste time. Go ahead.
Shout out to Super Chat. Did not go Shiva here. Erica Williams, Classic Climb Broad, Classic Climb Smartphone Money. I see so many black folks doing well from just having skills, going to work, and having a boring life. Gen Z skills job already buying home. I talked about that 2 days ago. Like, it's sad, but my brother and sister is on some rent don't buy home shit, and I like my nieces and nephews were raised under the same place are owning homes in the same fucking community and have a third less buying power of the home, far less rent payments than the people who are renting to own these homes in the same community. I'm like, bro, I gave you this information. Don't say shit. They're gonna look at you a certain way. Don't tell them where you stay at. Just tell them that you stay somewhere else. Go get yourself a UPS store, actual address. Have a send your mail there. Don't tell them what the fuck you're doing. Just make it look like you're actually struggling, because they respect that shit. If you're doing way better than them, they do not like that shit at all. And that's what I'm saying. It's like you have to teach kids how to survive beyond the actual criticism of their parents. Because if you allow them parents to get inside them kids' head, they're going to revert back to respecting their parents more than their own fucking future. And that shit is fucking crazy. What's going on, Shiva here? What's going on, man?
What's going on? And shout out to Erica. When I was going into this YouTube journey, just looking at different YouTube, because despite me already being married, you know, and the thing about that was I had uncles, telling me, boy, be a player, this and that, getting on the women, gave me the whole so-called quote unquote game. And it was to the point where I'm looking at one of my uncles get a divorce, on drugs, my other uncle not married, well, got two divorces, end up having another kid out of wedlock with my granddad being a pastor. So that was already crazy within itself. And then turn around and I'm like, y'all some bad role models. One of my uncles who was on drugs, he ended up getting off and kind of weaving his way into my life and trying to make things right. All the mistakes he did in the past and was, really trying to work with me to help me to be better. But a lot of the old heads I talk to at work, when I was young, started I had like 15 years in the moving business. All these old guys would tell me their stories of them balling and playing, and the number one
Yep.
thing they would say, man, if I could change it all, I would have settled down with that chick that was cool and was calm, and she, you know what I'm saying, she was about business, but I was too much. I got caught in the game. And so that was me taking a leap at 25. I'm like, all right, I'm hearing all these guys claim the fame, but then I'm hearing the horror stories after. Man, I'm with a chick,
Yes.
man. She been cheating on me for a minute. Man, I can't leave her because, man, I'm so knee deep in bills. You know, everything in her name because I gotta work hard and put it stuff in her name because my credit bad or this and this is wrong. And so I'm like, dang. But yet the ones that had good outcomes, man, I've been with my woman ever since high school. Man, me and her settled down. You know, I don't look at cheating and stuff like that, man, because I want to keep my stuff. If I cheat, I know I'm gonna lose it all. So why take that step out there and lose it all just for this one night with this one chick or a couple of nights with this chick? So it put me in the mind frame of what do I want out of life? How was I raised? You know, spite all the other stuff around me. You know, because we hear the stories, man, these girls ain't out here acting right. But you go to the same club, same bars,
All day.
picking the same women and expecting a better outcome. Like I always say, most of the guys in the space just want hoes. You know, if you really break it down,
And
they
they
want to
do.
no.
They want to host access with decent fucking women that they're not gonna be with overall for a
Yep,
long ass period of time. To be quite honest with you, that's what the complaint model is. Like women women with no experience or more experience are not acting like women with no experience and
yep,
appreciating me for being a dude for just me and a man with a swinging dick and they ain't got my shit together. But you come online, you be around all these unproductive dudes. You don't know how shit works. You're not even trying to get your own power. You're not motivated to do anything. But somehow a woman is supposed to hand over her whole body and future to you because you are a fucking black man. Is fucking nuts to me. I used to not see it as nuts. Now I see it as fucking insane. I've never seen people who honestly have their shit together having problems dealing with or getting any. I've never had a problem
Right.
meeting.
To get the shit together first, then get the woman, not the hustle backwards. Like, go ahead.
And it's like most of the quality women that I ran into was because I was around other quality people. Because quality people are not gonna have you hooked up with non-quality circumstances. And it took me a while to feel like, why the fuck are they offering? Like, oh, they want to make sure that this shit don't go to waste, rather
The
than
wild part, you know what?
oh,
The wild
go
part
ahead.
about that is this: when you think about it, if you're an intelligent person, man,
Yes,
whoever, if you know deep down if you ain't got your shit together. If not, you're literally mentally ill. So you know if you don't have your shit together. So imagine wanting a chick or the a significant other who wants you while you know damn well you don't got your shit together. Like that's crazy, right? That means they either lack discernment or that person doesn't have their shit together too. So now you just like a happy couple of nigga shit, just broke losers. Like what the fuck?
yeah, it's kind of
yeah.
like it's kind of like a delayed reaction fuse. Like you like this shit and the fuse is around the corner on some fucking Bugs Bunny shit, and you think that this shit is going well, but that shit is like teeing off and it's about to come through and
That
explode.
shit spark. That shit sparking. That shit hella sparking is just
Yeah,
delayed, right? So lit the
You
wick.
gotta look
There's
at
just a
it.
long wick.
yeah,
You,
and it's
you
like
gotta
these dudes are so proud to get access to sex. After they don't have their shit together, they can't wait to not tell everybody about it. I think that shit is crazy.
the crazy part is listening to it from a standpoint and be like, I heard this before.
Yes.
And when I hear guys say, "Man, she need to take me at my worst, because when I get to my best, you know, I'm up there, I'm balling." How many times have you ever heard a woman say, "Take me when I'm big, because when I get petite and small, you're not gonna be able to afford me or deal." I'm like, it's the reverse what a lot of these do. When you
Well,
hear this, I'm the prize, man. I don't have to tell somebody I'm the prize. I know my
I
worth.
man,
So
I think that's some
like,
of the worst shit ever about ancient dudes walking around like walking around in concentric circles claiming that they're the fucking prize. Like, bro, like, what the fuck are you talking about? That you are the fucking prize in front of random women who got infinite access to dumb nigga dick. What are you talking about? That you're the fucking prize. Like, bro, if you're the prize, if you would not be on the field. You wouldn't be
Hey,
begging for
MOT,
motherfuckers if
imagine
uh,
imagine you running up to your granddad and saying some shit like that. He, the hell wrong with you?
no
What are
man.
you saying?
No man,
Like,
he's like, look, man, just climb up on the house and just jump off. Doesn't matter how you land. You up out of here.
man,
All right, what's going on, Wacky Word? Oh man, what's going on, man?
oh,
Yo, what's going on? What's popping? What's up?
What's going on, man? What's going on, man?
Am I? What's going on, panel? What's up, everybody? Yeah,
What's going on, man?
yeah. Not to segue to a different topic, but MOT, what you were stating earlier before you opened up the panel about how there were certain programs within the Mississippi school system
Yes.
that was disguised as encouraging the more intelligent children, but really they was discouraging the more intelligent children from uh progress. It's like the different things you told me reminded me of my mother's side of the family because I don't know what it is, right? There's something within my mom's side of the family in which they love to discourage progress and they love to target those within the family with a lot of potential to be something great and try everything it takes to put them down and keep them down. And this is basically the story of my life, which is why I had to cut most of them off. So when I heard that story, I'm like, God dang, it sort of hit home. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying, okay, I see what it is now. Because the elders in my mom's side of the family, they're boomers. And what it is that they want to put themselves, they want to stay in a position to keep themselves in a position of power over everyone. This is some narcissistic shit. I mean, I grew up around,
Yes.
yeah. Listen, unfortunately, I grew up around a narcissistic family, you know, and they want to keep themselves in a position of power. So they want to do what it takes to have control. When I mean them, I'm speaking about the elders in my mom's side of the family. They want to do whatever it takes to have control over everyone in the family. So they must make sure that most people on my mom's side of the family are failures. And I was one of those few who broke through that. I was like,
Yes.
not me. That's not going to be me. And I'm like the black sheep, thank God, because realize that a black sheep of the family means that you're the white sheep of the family. you know?
No,
Uh
I mean, like, I hate to throw her name in here, but on Sister Joy's side of the family, like, way down there, even though a lot of those people did fight for the Confederacy as black people, she don't know that.
oh damn.
But at that point, those people were the business people inside the family. Even though they did what was on some fucked up bullshit back then, my father's side of the family never rose above those people who actually did do business with those actual individuals. They
Uh,
never accepted those people at all. So it was kind of like, even though even my grandfather came into some big money and that shit's not gonna be done until like last person dies from that side of the family. But it's like there was no comparison, child for child, person for person, about where they were and outcomes. It was never that. I never sat down, had a conversation that until I got married to who I'm married to now. They were like, okay, so how did this turn out? And how did that turn out? You need to track down all these people and all those people. They're like, yeah. I'm like, why the fuck am I doing all this shit to simply get married? Like, yeah. But if you never, if you don't have good outcomes and the only thing you see is failure, then we're not gonna allow you to marry our daughter. That's what the fuck is going on. I'm like, what kind of
uh,
bullshit is we in love? And I was like, fuck love. We're trying to create some shit here. And if you're not with that, then we gotta find somebody else. I looked at it a certain way when it first started off, but once I started going through the actual process and asking the actual questions and realizing that my actual oldest aunt was set up for this type of conversation that I didn't know about, she was the one to negotiate on the behalf when I did get to better people that I did not know about until I went through this actual process. That's when I knew that shit was different. But I had to go out through the process to realize that it was different. That You're not gonna be out here. You're not gonna be on this shit. You're not doing any of that. And if you are on that, you're never gonna find out about this better life, about how we was able to keep our shit together 50 years before he died, or 30 years together before they died. Because like most of my aunts did it right. They were in the military or they were nurses, and they had picked husbands who was actually military or union or some other shit, and those kids grow up in some excellent circumstances. But the outcomes was the same as the people who didn't have those circumstances. Crazy shit, right? But it was like, but they knew better, but they didn't do better. So they was like, look, if you ain't on it, we're just gonna treat you like everybody else. We still gonna show you love and all this other shit. But at the end of the day, you're never gonna know about this better life. Because if that's what your end goal is to turn a good woman into this type of shit, we're not even gonna try to even teach you this shit or try to socialize you into this shit. You're already a lost cause. That's the way it was. I didn't know that, but that's the way it was overall.
Yeah, like that. Everyone for some shit I got going on personally, but people hear me.
Somebody
Um,
is Alonzo,
sorry.
you coming in kind of staggery or
Yeah, your Bluetooth, whatever, is not connecting right. Might need to take it off.
I'm gonna come back.
Oh, you're in the elevator. Probably.
okay, all right. No, we can come back to him. Uh, yeah, man, but that's how it was, and it's like when you get a bunch of people with no outcomes who take the power of the black manosphere and they try to teach people with no experience, you get exactly what you have now. You have a bunch of misguided individuals who want to run into leadership positions to try to teach no people with no experience how to get their actual outcomes because they're further along the path of failure than anybody else. And I think that is wildly inappropriate for a space like this to be created to be taken over by such individuals.
Yeah. When it comes to like all the talk, I, I'm getting to the point. Like I checked out. Like over here in this space, I was on a channel the other day and I was sharing it to my channel about growing your channel. And LaShawn Jefferson got on a panel, was telling women that were talking about helping people build their channel, talking about sticking this thing in somebody's jaw. I'm like, dude, like we're over it, nothing. Like there was everybody was over there. Yeah, you need help. We're gonna show you how to build your channel. Watch ours, this and that. So I'm steady going in and out because I'm not really looking at my panel. And I hear them who is sharing their channel with this guy, LaShawn. He's on here talking about banging all the chicks up here, talking about slapping dudes on the panel. And I'm like, hold on. I go to my panel. I had to hide all the comments. I just banned them from my channel. I was like, dude, you the only person I ever banned from my channel. Like, and a lot of times that's why like I don't even move in this way. I deal with a lot of people that's in gardening and finance. And I'm like, okay, that algorithm shouldn't even be touching most guys over here because most of them don't want to grow. Most of them don't want to do better. Most of them definitely don't want to grow no vegetables or nothing like that. Because hell, I'm like they don't want to do nothing different like this. So then it shouldn't even touch them. But lo and behold, he jumps on the panel with this rhetoric and wilding out, and I'm like, dude, what is wrong? Like, come on, you this old in life and you just get so much pleasure by just coming online, just going at people. Nobody's saying anything about sex. He's the one bringing up the topic of boning people and fighting people. I'm like, come on, man, we can't be
I
this
mean, but it's
old.
always sexless, unaccomplished men who bring sex into the equation as the barometer of their masculinity. Like,
True.
like my grandfather taught me that shit. Like, fucking, like I'm in my 40s. He taught me that shit 30 years ago, and I'm like, are you sure? And it's like when you met the first person who brought sex as a barometer. These dudes couldn't even afford women at the time. But they were the guy who was the main person trying to grade themselves off of that barometer, even though no one had access to it because, inexperience. And you don't know that these people are lying to you until way later on. But what happens when you can take an advantage of a whole culture of men who don't know that? It's just nuts. What's going on, Lonzo? Thanks,
Chilling,
coming in,
chilling.
man.
Am I coming in better now?
All the way clear. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. Actually, I want to speak to this comment that you have that Erica mentioned. It says that they want safety, not progress. I think a lot of that in our community is kind of a caste system. So your father's a plumber, you're going to be a plumber, so on and so forth, type of stuff, because we had at least that safety net. But people aren't looking for more. There are a lot of dudes who are oversexed and not willing to accomplish anything. Like, bro, out here, I'm in New Haven, Connecticut. When I say New Haven, Connecticut to most people across the country, well, let me ask you guys, when I say New Haven, Connecticut, what's the first thing you guys think of when you think of New Haven, Connecticut?
Food
Yale
up there? Yeah, I've
University.
been there.
Yale University,
Yale University.
Yeah.
right? So, meanwhile, I got brothers here who sex. I'ma hit that. This one fine. Is a brother I know who owns and operates some businesses locally. He's with his woman for the last 18 years. But every time I talk to him, oh man, I'm community. Listen, why are you community? You ain't got time to worry about the community. You got to pay your employees. How about you get the community to be customers? Right? And I've realized that there's a couple of things. One, if you're oversexed as a man, I can't do business with you because I can't trust you, because you're going to be easily lured away if I invest in your business. And you're going to make stupid moves with my money. And then I'm going to have to change my name back from Social Media Insurance Brother back to Glocktavius. And that's not necessary all the time, but sometimes that's all these dudes respect. The fearful thing is that they're bringing up the next generation to have such. And what's more worrisome is we as black men don't seem to have these conversations. I joined the craft, hence my name SMIB. And one of my line brothers, who was, when I joined, I was 27. And, to the glory of the grand architect of the universe, for those who know, they know. And one of my line brothers, who was older, I was 27, he was about 43. And he came to me, he said, yo, do you and your homeboys talk about things like retirement, or y'all just worried about the latest Lil Wayne verse? And at the time, I was like, man, get out of here, da 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 da. But as I'm encroaching upon his age, men my age are still talking about the latest Lil Wayne verse. I have men who are asking me for loans but can't do business with me. So why should I give you a loan when I've been trying to talk to you about a way to not need a loan for the last 15 years? Right? And it seems like all we want to be as black men is the minstrel show.
Yes.
We don't seem to want to be like, we act as if, oh, I want power. And then we dress like we want to be peasants. Right? Yes, I get it. A suit and tie ain't the most comfortable thing all the time. And no, if I'm a mechanic or a carpenter, then I probably shouldn't be wearing a suit and tie to work. But when I'm going to bid for that government contract, I'm wearing a suit and tie. I'll give you an example. I have a cousin in North Carolina who has a business where he stripes the road. He was doing $1 million in revenue. He found out about the DMB number. He then went to get some government bids. Next thing I know, he's doing $28 million in revenue. That's a humongous difference. But because us having these conversations like this can also end up becoming circular because they fall on deaf ears. Right? We understand this, but this is where you get a lot of black men who end up giving up and being defeated, right? Thank goodness for things like this internet, right? Because I was able to link up with gentlemen like you, right? And so now we have to kind of push that message forward. So do we have to become, for lack of a better term, bullies? Like, Wacky, I love the way you command shit. And actually, a bunch of gentlemen, I went on a unfollowing spree. Everybody, I unfollowed everybody for a while. So I gotta get back to the brothers who's talking about something, because I was like, I gotta get all of this stuff out of my algorithm for a second. So I'll be back around on your channel too, Wacky, because you have conversations that are stimulating to the mind, and the shit makes sense. It's just so disturbing that 40-plus-year-old men are still like, why are we dressing like we 22? Even if it's jeans and a t-shirt, right? Can we at 40 just start wearing a polo that's a collared shirt to get taken seriously? And then we wonder why we have the knee on our neck. And I think is why we're beefing about this shit. Because when I try to go do a real estate deal in East New York with this guy named Josh, which his name ain't Josh, it's probably Rupender, but he calls himself Josh. And he's got 15, 20, 30 properties in East New York. And all I can get is brothers to come and be like, yeah, man, I'm on my girl's Section 8. When I got grown men here in near fucking Yale University. And, you know, you're a dope boy, but you don't make $200,000 a year. Yeah, I know this is a small town, but if you are selling dope and you ain't making $200,000 a year and you're 46 years old, get the fuck out the game. Excuse my language. But I need, can I get some backup here, gentlemen? Am I wrong? Am I thinking in that?
No,
No.
Nah.
it's just that when you're
Yeah, yeah, it's literally crazy, man. Going through the game right now with these guys, excuse after excuse, like you was talking about earlier. I, prime example, one of the guys in the space, you know, needed a job, offered him a job, didn't want it right now. He didn't know how to do the job. I said, I'll train you, I'll show you. All right, we're gonna have to do it one day. But he's steady trying to hustle on something else. And I'm like, okay, I get that. That's not your lane. You don't want to do it, but you're hungry. You know, no one's gonna give you anything. So you need to go out there and make sacrifices and get it. And you're trying to make sacrifices off other people's dime. That's not gonna work, you know. And you turn everybody's turning their back on you. You putting a hand out to do what? To beg, essentially. You know, and that's the thing with most guys. They want everything given to them. All these guys want a nice wife, a nice woman, but they're not doing the necessary things to go get those type of women. Like I said, going to the same club, going to the same bar, getting the same outcome, same, you know, issue with having another kid on child support and saying these women keep doing me wrong. You know, I seen this one chick on one of the guys on a podcast. Her friend set her down and she was like, you done had 3 kids now. The first 2 kids, I understand. She was like, but the third, she said, now this is a problem. She's like, your pussy's not a dumpster fire. You have bad issue with picking men. Every one of your baby daddies left. Every one of your baby daddies ain't no good. When you try to check a man on something like that, they get offended. Oh man, probably it was no, dude. You picked the most horrible women and you just want to have sex. Just admit it. It's something like I told guys on panels, I'm like, dude, if you really want a wife, stop smashing all these chicks and just go after what you really, really want. And 9 times out of 10, while you're smashing, you're getting that body count, just like the men talk about women with the body count. Dude, you know how many dudes out here getting chick babies from just smashing? They didn't want to have a baby with this chick, but she was giving it for free. What do you think she's giving it away for? Like, come on, man.
I'll give you one
Yeah.
even better, man. When I was prior to me getting shot in North Carolina, I was a Glocktavius, right? I was trying to run the streets and wear bandanas and work my little job at Wendy's and be a thug on the side. Well, my brother, he was an assistant store manager at Abercrombie and Fitch. So there's this one night we went out to the bar and cornbread fed chick, you know, they get turned on by the Tupac initially. So I'm sitting there spitting my best game, oh girl, da 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 da. My brother walked up, said, "Hey, I got a 401k." Next thing I know, they walked out the bar and left me there. I was like, "How am I gonna get home?" He ended up dating that girl for a while, right? But she was of substance. So she was going to use me for fun. But then she said, "Oh, wait, this dude is interested and he's about something." Like she literally left her drink, left me there. My brother went to the car with her. And we was living in an apartment together. He was in the room right next to me. So I get to hear, the cheek clapping, right? Because of that. But I also want to speak to what MOT was mentioning earlier about, when they was like, look, you ain't just gonna take this woman through the ringer and have her be a dumpster fire. So that's actually very similar to my wife, right? I met my wife, came out to New York to meet her and her family. First person I met was her mother. Her mother worked at the options trading desk at Morgan Stanley. When I went to their neighborhood, they live on, if anybody's in familiar with Brooklyn, they live on one of the four best blocks in Bed-Stuy. I'm not gonna dox her and give the exact street, but
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I
yeah,
could give you four of them.
okay. I'll put it to you like this: there's Lewis and Stuyvesant is the two cross streets, right? Um, but they I was like, holy smokes, this is not Bed-Stuy. This is where the Cosbys live. Eric Adams lived on that block, right? So I walk up in there. I'm like, whoa, this is not this ain't Shaniqua. A pair of Jordans ain't gonna impress this chick. So then I meet her father, who currently at the time he worked at Columbia Presbyterian and he was a diamond cutter, right? Her stepfather worked at Columbia University. So I couldn't just come in there on any old thing. And then I met her brothers. Now her brothers weren't as prestigious of careers as her mother and father and stepfather, but her brothers are from her father from a different woman. But her brothers met me and they was like, "So, what are you about? Cause we not just gonna have any old thing up on our sister. See, we are from that environment, Glocktavius. So we ain't gonna let that come around our sister. So what are you doing?" And so I immediately had to step up my game, right? I was like, oh, also, I got exposed to a lifestyle that I wanted. I didn't want to be, you know, sleeping on a piece of toast. I like my $15,000 king size bed, right? I like, I like to gentrify the neighborhood because gentrification is more about money and less about race. I like to have a coffee shop instead of a liquor store, right? Those small things. I'll pause there.
Yeah, man. I mean, just in general, man. Like, hey, when it comes down to it, man, that's why I say it. Just different direction, dog. I'm not with it no more. No more excuses. Just don't go over there with those type of chicks. You won't get those type of outcomes. Even with the dudes, I get it. As long as I've been in the space when I first came over, when I heard about the manosphere, I was thinking, okay, this is on some positive men stuff. In which it, when I first came, that's all I seen. Then when I seen about the issue with the women, I understood that. Yeah, I get it. But I'm like, okay, what's the outcome behind this? Because when I heard the growth, I'm like, okay, I hear about guys doing good for themselves. Even when I heard guys talking about they making 100,000 and women still won't choose them, I'm like, okay, and you just be a successful guy making 100,000. Why do you have to get chose by a woman to make 100,000?
bro.
You doing it for her? Or you doing it for yourself?
The,
That's what I'm
you know,
saying, man. Like it never really made any sense uh, about dudes who have their stuff together, but they haven't been quote unquote chose by bad women. It's almost like they only want to be chose by bad women of no substance and have their shit together so that way they can continue to keep having these complaints that these other dudes have. And that never really made any sense to me. It just had.
our problem is. This is our problem with all of us on the panel, right? And I could tell just by, I may not know you brothers on a personal level, but I could just tell by the things that you say. And I'm also including this is that we've never been lame niggas. Excuse my language. That's the thing. That's our problem. This is the reason why when we hear a lot of this weirdo stuff that we hear when it comes to a lot of these losers on the manosphere, we can't relate to, and it seems like foreign. It's like, what? Because we've never been lame niggas. We've never been lame. I mean, I'm not saying none of us are perfect. Each of us, I'm sure, had our times where we struggled in life, but we overcame, right? Which is why we're not lame niggas. We can't relate to this loser stuff. We can't. We're warriors in life. I heard Alonzo's stories, right? His part of his life story. I hear part of She's life story. I hear part of MOT's life story and part of AM1's life story, even my life story. And one thing that us five have in common is that whatever struggles we went through, we persevered and we fought through and we overcame. These lame niggas is too weak to do that. They're weak. They're the bottom shelf of the bottom shelf. They're the lowest hanging fruit. They need to die the fuck off. Excuse my language, but these niggas ain't shit. And this is why we find what they say to be so weird, because we can't relate to ain't shit language. That's what they speak, ain't shit language. We can't relate to that. And that's what I realized about myself and these motherfuckers, man. We're better than these niggas. And that's the bottom line. And some guy with an RSO would accuse me of thinking that I'm better than American blacks and stuff like that, which is not true. I don't think that I'm better than American blacks, but I think I'm better than that dumbass nigga. You know what I'm saying? But that's all I have to say.
You know what that is though, Wacky? I think there's also, at least I'm facing right now, is I guess you could call it survivor's remorse, right? Because it's like, damn, a lot of these dudes I grew up with, I'm relatives of, and like I can't even have, bro, I don't even want to start to have these conversations with them because, like I said, I know a dude been with this one woman 19 years. And he's like, yo, she's put me through this, through that. I did what I did, but she did what she did. And I'm like, well, the woman's never going to forgive you. You might suck it up and take it to the chin, but she's never going to. And you're not giving her a reason to trust you because you're not marrying her. Yeah, you're there for 19 years, but all you did was put kids in her, right? You can immediately leave at any point, and you can easily be put out at any point. You're paying all the bills, though, but nothing's in your name. So the respect for you is not going to be there like you expect it to. You get the respect from the men because, like, I have put it to a point where I'm like, yo, I don't even have it in me to have the conversation because their comprehension, they won't even comprehend what the hell I'm telling them. And that shit hurts me because I'm a what you call it, an empath, right? So like I'm like, these people are so connected with me. I want them to rise above with me. But that's why I did like the whole Husbands United thing, right? Because the reality is, unless you're married, you're not getting invited to the Powerful Man party
Nope.
because
Say it
we,
again. Say
unless
it
you are
again.
married, you are not getting invited to the Powerful Man party. It's just the reality of the situation. No disrespect to anyone, right? But let's look at the fact that any politician throughout history, there might be, one or two outliers who was a single politician. But how many people are voting for a single male politician? Crickets. Right. Because nobody's doing that. Because
Tim
they're
Scott.
figuring that there's going to be no you're not going to have a responsible mindset as a single man in certain power positions. But I'll pause there.
Yeah, but
Hey, y'all. Hey, shout out to the panel. I just wanted to come back to salute y'all properly. My first time back on what was like a real, actual kind of manosphere panel. So salute to you, brothers. I got to
All
peace
right,
out.
cool,
I'm
man.
still be listening in. But
All right,
shout
all
out
right,
to
cool,
y'all.
man.
all right,
All
peace
right, cool,
out.
man.
Peace,
What's
But
up?
bro.
Something out. Hey, well,
Arthur.
Alonzo, in response to what Alonzo was stating about him having survivor remorse and him recognizing certain people that he personally know and he want these individuals to rise up with him. I'm just paraphrasing what he's stating, right? And then he mentioned, and Alonzo mentioned how he's an empath, and and so therefore that survivor's guilt is stuck with him. But brother, what I have to say to you is that you have to have a limit on your empathy.
yes,
Uh,
you
uh,
have
uh,
to.
a lot of these motherfuckers you can't have empathy on, you know, and I'm saying that because I had to learn that because I had
Understood.
those feelings when it comes to members of my mom's side of the family because like I told you before, I grew up around a lot of narcissistic people. That mainly the elders of my mom's side of the family are very narcissistic, and they grew up manipulating the younger generation in
Oh,
order for
somebody
the
got a lot
younger
of
generation to
background
get steady.
noise.
Well, that's not my background, so I don't know whose background is that.
That
Oh, okay. So yeah. So like I said, my mom's side of the family, the elders are very narcissistic. So they have a tendency to manipulate the younger people, the younger generation of my mom's side of the family, so the younger generation could live the rest of their lives being reliant upon them, which give the elders a sense of power. And I used to feel sorry for those of my family within my generation who can't see through that because I wanted to wake them up, but I had to realize that the more I tried to wake them up, the more I wasted my damn time. And I had to realize that I got to stop feeling sorry for their ass because if they can't see what I could see, then they on their own. I had to accept that and move on, you know.
yeah.
And
I mean,
and in
my
gen-
grandfather you used to do that hard shoulder grab.
yeah, yeah. Just in general, because I know MOT used to state this, and I'll state this too, but it's like we can't change other people. And I'm not saying Alonzo is trying to change, but in general, we can't change other people. The most we can do is change ourselves and change the environment around us, right?
Yeah.
And if other people around us can't catch up, that's their problem, not ours. So that survival remorse stuff, we have to get over that shit.
Got it.
And people who are currently winning shouldn't have like I did this live stream with O'Shea, Black Ram 313, and me. We did this live stream, I think about 8 years ago, where we talked about survivors kind of remorse and we went through actually stories and it kind of mirrored the same thing about not being taught when to let go and overstepping boundaries that are not really our responsibilities. And it was shocking that it wasn't just me in my situation. Everybody was going through the same thing, no matter where they were, because it wasn't obvious and normal to be successful and lead these people along because you feel like you're missing a whole part of yourself where you think other people are having more fun than you. When the only thing is that you just never been around people who don't have those experiences who are actually having fun. And then you get invited to the conversation where things work right. And nobody's really having any problems and everybody got good outcomes and they can still build upon that. And it's like, man, where was this? And it was like this conversation was never meant to be had by a certain level of people.
Mm.
It was never meant to be had. It was always meant to be a foreign concept between people who have not grown up past a certain point or who have certain value levels past a certain point. It was never meant to be something that they should actually aspire to. Because what their end goal is based on power is nothing that we have based on power and participation. So
Let
that's
me
how I had
ask
to
you,
learn my
gentlemen,
lesson.
this for black men specifically. Do you think that I'm trying to good a good word. Do you think that lack of growth or maturity comes from, because I was considering this, a lot of black men end up in things like jail time. And do you think, okay, when a guy does 5, 10 years, that slows his mental progression, and when he comes home at 37 he's still 27, or when he comes home at 27 he's still 17?
It is. I would say so because the people who went to jail in the mid '80s came out in the early 2000s because they served 20 years. Like in Mississippi, you're gonna serve all of that time when it came to drugs. And all those people started getting out in the early 2000s, and it started multiplying as the actual early 2000s went on. But and those people haven't changed at all. They wanted to be celebrated because of what they went through and what they quote unquote wanted to get back to. They wanted to get back to the power that they had within the environment at the time. But that power was selfish as hell. That power did not mean that things are going to get better or anything else. I mean, I had cousins who killed each other who went to jail for the same amount of time that people who sold drugs doing time in the same parchment, and and that's what they went through. And it was like it didn't matter what the charge was. It was the fact of what the outcomes were going to be when they got out. They wanted the world to recognize the fact that they served their time. It wasn't the fact that they did serve it for this reason. They was happy to be out, but they wanted the world to respect them because they went through a process that they didn't need to go through. So they wanted everybody else to, and for some reason they had this level of control even after they got out because of what people didn't socialize inside these children when they did go in. That these are not people that you let around for any reason. And the
Mm.
only people who taught those lessons were already dead. And by the time that they got out, the circumstances devolved into the point to where it's kind of like what you see in the manosphere. It's like outcomes don't matter. What you attract, regardless of how real you are, or realistic you are, it does matter. The moonshot does matter here. It doesn't matter that you're trying to talk to individuals that you should be talking to. It's the fact that you got an audience based on the wrong type of thing. That's more respected than a person who actually dodged all this stuff. And you do feel that way that you haven't made it as a man because you don't have a respect of a certain type of men in society that you should have been taught a long time ago to dodge. Like I was taught to dodge it. And he was the only person who said to dodge it. And men of substance told you to dodge that. But men of no substance didn't tell you to dodge that. They freely fed themselves into it. So that's kind of what happened. And the people of substance was never respected at all. And the people who didn't care, they were always going to win out in the end because there was far more damaged people who wanted to believe in this actual thought process than people who dodged it. That's what it
Mm.
was.
Like, I saw some funny shit this morning, man. I went downstairs. I was gonna go get an omelet, and then I decided to go back upstairs. But before I did that, there were two men who worked in construction standing outside going to the corner store to get their omelet. And I'm sitting there talking to them. I was about to start, I was like, "Oh yeah, y'all making good money, let me work with y'all." Oh yeah, I was like, "Oh no, no, I don't do physical labor, bro. I'm in sales." But let me talk. And then, ironically enough, two policemen came by with a man in handcuffs. And One of the construction workers, oh damn man, they got you. Here, officer, let me give him a cigarette. And then he gives the guy cuffed up a cigarette. And he's like, oh man, this is terrible. That chick called the cops on him. I'm like, I have no remorse. What did he do? Like, to get locked up, right? A chick don't, I get it. Yes, sometimes women can be spiteful and do things for what seems like no reason. And I'm not saying nobody need to be a Captain Saver, but let's look at the reality. Cause and effect. So you did something to cause her to effectively call the police. And then they came and got your ass. And this Negro, while I'm in the middle of trying to tell him about his retirement that I could help him with, instead, because I was like, yeah, the work you do, yeah, man, this backbreaking work. I can't wait to get out of this shit. Well, that little 401k that, first of all, dudes don't even know about something called FRA, which is full retirement age, which right now, if you were born in 1967 or before, full retirement age for you is age 67, right? RMD, required minimum distribution, meaning the oldest you can be to take out from your retirement account or get taxed at 50% is age 72. Well, here's something that anybody born 1968 or beyond needs to be concerned about. Next year, RMD is going to 75. What does that mean? Well, right now, RMD is 5 years before FRA. FRA is 67. So they're going to move RMD to 75. So that means we can't really retire until 70. I'm going to say that again. We cannot retire until 70 because a lot of these folks don't have anything other than SSI. So to be able to get your full SSI, you're going to need to be 70 years old. So you're going to have to now climb that ladder and sling them bricks until you're 70. But let's not act like ageism doesn't exist. Because right now, when I go to the corner store, the young boys are calling me OG. And I'm just 40. Right? So when I'm trying to go get that back-breaking work, and I'm 20 years younger than you and don't have 40 years of experience, the foreman's going to fire your ass and hire me for half the price. Now you can't contribute to Social Security. We got guys who are master teachers or master debaters who are 65 spreading this malarkey to these younger men. I'm not even worried about the men younger than us. Who do we have to look up to at 40 to say, damn, at 60, I can be like this, so I can be dropping these gems of knowledge down? Right? So,
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, it's just that there has to be a block of individuals that you have to cut off in order to have progress for the whole period. I know people don't want to hear that, but here's the thing. My grandfather said that, look, in order for us to get in this situation, there had to have been a whole block of individuals who did not want to invest in the proper outcomes when they knew better to start this thing off. And it's not wrong to enjoy yourself the way that they did when they had the chance. It's going to feel that way, but you have to be mentally strong enough to understand that these people are having these outcomes because they invested in it, whether or not they knew it or not. Like, people see these kids who kill their parents at young ass ages, but like, yeah, but would you want your father to be dead because he actually raised some actual kid who had access to everything and that wasn't good enough for him? No. But at the end of the day, they still had a choice. And at some point, you have to leave them to the choices that they actually make and made. And it's not everybody's responsibility to come here and solve their problems for them, even though that's what they've been socialized into, that they're not going to participate until the system is perfect. The system has never been perfect to actually allow for wholesale participation with individuals that has been disenfranchised before. You have to participate your way and produce your way out of it. Other groups of people have done this. How you think legacy admissions happen? Them Jews start actually slaying those actual tests. Hell yeah, they had to overcompensate some time away. They had to overcompensate by actually making sure that their sons and daughters that did not could actually make those actual grades in school be able to pass through because their previous parents did during their generation. And if you look at it a certain way, if black men had that actual power in HCBUs, we would do the same fucking thing. Don't tell me that we fucking wouldn't. We can't wait till we have more power than these people who are white. We're trying to do it now through fucking ignorance. If those people had the power of ignorance back then over us, we'll be doing the same fucking thing as soon as we had the least amount of power to do exactly what they're doing to us. And you gotta fucking think that way. It's not a black or white thing, it's a protection of power in a group type system and format.
Yeah. A, a lot of those kids got shamed to success. But you just basically ran down a lot of those Jewish kids who didn't really know as much. They
Yes,
parents shamed them to success. Like, hey,
yes they did.
I, it's a Indian couple that stayed down stairs when my son and daughter was in elementary school, and they had we was in an apartment, so they stayed. No, they actually stayed above us. And the crazy part was every time that girl got a B, I would hear yelling from upstairs, and then the kids would go play, and they'd be like, "Yeah, Deba got a B," and her mom yelled her. She would never whoop her, but she would yell at her, grab her, just scold her for getting a B. This girl was on the principal's list every year. If she bring home a B on a grade, she would get in trouble. There's nothing less than an A, less than an A. And I'm like, I'm talking to my daughter, and I'm like, look at you making a C, and I just tell you do better, and I'm working with you, but I'm not scolding you like that. And she, she got it. She understood, but at the same time, we don't push our kids enough. And just like what you were saying earlier, I was going to part of that about Corey Holcomb made a joke, and he said, if you're 40 to 50 and you at the corner store scratching off lottery tickets and hoping and wishing that you hit the big one, the system got you. The
Worked
system
on you.
got you. You don't
It
own
worked on you.
nothing. The system got you. He said, you're so caught up. The system got you. You don't even own a car. Your car is in somebody else's name that you drive. You stay in an apartment. When Alonzo was talking about ownership and everything, and I mean you was talking about the ownership with your cousin and your siblings.
Yeah.
They don't own nothing. They don't want to own anything. The system taught you rent. The rich people rent. I hear all these rich people say, "Man, I don't own anything." But they not telling you they don't own anything because the assets are in business. They don't own a house, but their assets in the house. They do through business, all this stuff. But here nor there. The richest way to build wealth is through life insurance and real estate. But a lot of us, we don't want to take that path because man, it's so much money. Man, I only think I can afford a house. There's so many people I talk to, I give them tips. Hell, one lady, she came on my channel. She was like, man, I saved $6,000 just doing a bare minimum, what you were talking about, putting a little money to the side, not buying that beer that day or not, getting some online or something and just saving that money. I saved up $6,000. I'm like, wow, hey, appreciate you. Hey, I'm just giving out the information. I'm telling you to pay your bills a certain way. And there's all kind of ways to buy a house. Nobody knows because nobody's doing the research. Your parents don't know. Most likely, they're not gonna tell you anything. They're gonna
Not at
they're
all.
gonna shoo you around. Yeah, the housing market is so crazy. It's so expensive. 8% right now. If I was looking at getting a house, all these houses I was looking at, it was crazy. I'm still getting a house at 8%. You ever heard of a thing called refinancing? A lot of people, oh man, I wouldn't want to pay that high interest rate. So the rates are gonna always stay like this. So the rates gonna always, if the rates go up, you got a lower interest rate than the rate now. If the rate go down, you refinance. You have a lower interest rate. I don't understand the excuses that so many people make,
I don't
but
want the
yet,
rates to go down. I need them to stay high so I could sell more annuities.
but I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
just
but you have to
crazy,
understand
man.
it's the whole thing of maintaining my current position through non-participation. and everybody's going to fix everything for me and make it perfect without my interaction at all. That's going to make me participate once things are perfect. And it's like, could you ever point to me an actual place where that is possible? It doesn't make any sense for you to even think that way. But at the end of the day, you got to be like, look, individual outcomes matter. Like, this is why they hide behind groups, where like groups, community, our, like, once you start using these actual possessive pronouns when you don't own shit, like, possessive pronouns matter when you own shit. You could talk about the our, my, we, when you own shit. When you don't own shit and you want other people to actually include you in their actual fucking group, that's a problem. Like, you don't deserve possessive pronouns. You got to focus on the I, me shit before you start pretending that you're part of a larger group of participators. What it is we allowed individuals who are not doing shit to allow like they're the actual group of people. And the people who are actually doing shit to feel like that they're not part of a group of people. That shit has been socialized down since the fucking 60s. And you have people with no outcomes, no nothing, who think they could just troll their way through factual information rather than just reading a simple fucking paragraph and understanding the information in hand. Like, these people are not riding with me. I'm not trying to overproduce to cover for these people. I'm not doing that shit. I'm sorry. I work with somebody else. I don't give a fuck who I work with. Jews, gays, apocalypse, fucking Doctor Doom. I work with somebody else other than these motherfuckers. Fuck that.
Yeah, it, it's just crazy, man. Because a lot of these dudes, they want better outcomes, but not putting in the work, being educated. The least, just picking up a book, doing a Google search. I literally get on my kids all the time when they ask me something. I bought a sewing machine, doing some embroidering and stuff like that for one of my brothers. And one of my sons was like, I want to be able to make my own clothes. I was like, yeah, I did that when I was in high school. I bought my own sewing machine because I wanted to get into fashion. Bought my own sewing machine, made my own designs. I made a couple of clothes and everything myself. But the point of it was, he was asking me, well, how do I learn how to sew? Will you teach me? I said, you guys are in the information highway. You look at Google and all this stuff all day to look at funny videos. Why can't you use YouTube and Google search to learn things? I never understand this with people. It amazes me how we can go look up a video of the red pill. We can go look up a video on women being abusive to men, and we got to respond to this video. But you're not looking up videos, the ways to buy a house, the ways to invest in your future, dealing with IRAs and life insurance. Nobody's looking up. Those searches are very low, you know. Even what you were just talking about earlier, it's a lady, this is crazy. Last year, she paid about $15,000 in plumbing because her pipes froze up last year. And her boyfriend called her and was like, "Hey, make sure you turn that water on this year because remember what happened last year." She said, "Yeah, of course." Same thing happened again this year. And you know the crazy part about that? She stays in her grandmother's house. Her grandmother stays in a retirement home. She literally told the granddaughter that she's gonna kick her out of the house because she's not responsible. You already really don't pay no rent there. You just pay the utilities. Now you're about to get kicked out of free living arrangements because of your bad choices. How ironic is that?
I mean, buddy, if you've been socialized into, that's the highest thing that you can aspire to, is somebody else being dependent upon. It doesn't even seem like that much of a perspective or cost for you to actually move out of that situation, because it's normal to you to have everybody go after your flaws, to back you up, to I mean, there's so many people in my family to where the mothers babied the fuck out of them as soon as their mother died, instantly in fucking prison, instantly not really putting the house up, the car up, or anything. They had to face the consequences for this shit. Like, as soon as they didn't have somebody who was putting up this money to get you an attorney, to get you talked out of some shit that you shouldn't have did, they face it immediate consequences. But in other countries, you face immediate consequences. They don't give a fuck what kind of attorney that you get. It does. It's not going to get you out of anything. Only thing you're going to do is pay for a whole bunch of money and get the same consequence. But we haven't had that time to develop because there's too many individuals who's trying to uh, get rid of effort as the actual motivating factor to get out of these things. They want to make suffering the consequences and complain about them as the motivating factor to do anything. And I think that's crazy. And it's an outdated and played out system that everybody should know by now. They should.
My fault. It's probably easier for me to explain. I was mentioning to Z Man. Yes, real property is a great thing, but if you really plan, life insurance is actually, you want to go with life insurance and or an annuity first,
As
preferably
early as
life
possible.
insurance.
As early as
Um,
possible.
yeah, because you can use that as collateral. So normally, the way you use a property as collateral is you go, "Hey, listen, this house is worth 250,000. Hey, Bank of America, give me 250,000 for this house." Bank of America says, "Okay, just so you know, you're gonna end up paying us 600,000, but cool." Well, if you miss a mortgage payment or you end up delinquent on your mortgage payments, they foreclose on that house. Now that puts you and your family in a bad position. You use the life insurance, say, "Hey, I got $500,000 death benefit. The policies, meets all the parameters of a collateral assignment. You really want to know how to do that? You'll come see me. Yes, I do charge a fee, but hey, a couple of dollars to get this information ain't nothing." So I've learned that because I've done spoke to brothers recently who they don't want to pay my fee, but they want to start asking questions. I'm like, there's no use in me telling you because you ain't gonna use the information anyway. Because if you ain't willing to invest $500 to learn how to do this shit, but you willing to give Mr. Lucario $500 to learn how to fuck two ugly white bitches, something's wrong. But you know, so you would then use the actual life insurance policy as collateral. Go to Bank of America, say, "Hey, I got this $500,000 death benefit. The policy meets all the parameters. They're gonna give you $250,000 for the house. You buy the house, you own that house, that physical property, free and clear. Now you do still owe the quarter mil to Bank of America, but they're using your life insurance policy as collateral because if you die, they know they'll get their money, and you've already met the parameters that are necessary for them to know to approve the loan. And the only reason I know that this is actually factual, I've done it. I haven't physically done it, but I have a client who is by the name, he's a YouTube guy too, Marty McFly, who is doing this as we speak. And he came to me and he was like, "Yo, I got a situation where the property is $200,000. Da, 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 da." I said, "Your death benefit is substantially higher than that. Let's go get it." I said, "Go to the mortgage banker and tell her this." He went, and then he called me that day and said, "Holy shit." She was like, how did you know this?" But that goes back to what Man of Tomorrow was saying. That information ain't the type of shit that, those ain't the conversations we're having. We're having LaShawn Jefferson's conversations. Or we're worried about the woman with the brick instead of knowing how to put bricks together to build a property, or the building bricks of financial savviness, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's just where we at. It's just that, like, these conversations between me and my grandfather is something that we could do out in the wide open, and you're not going to be able to pull people from the entertainment piece because once you spend too much time in the entertainment piece, it's going to take an act of God to remove you from it. It's individual effort that brought you into it. It's going to be individual effort that's going to bring you away from it. And these lessons of other generations now can be taught to other individuals. This is why he was like, look, you got to deal with people who's ready to go, and most of them are not going to look like you. They should. They should be way more invested. But at the end of the day, you got to leave them behind and alone in order for them to get it. Because people who are swayed by popularity, the only thing that can change their mind is instant fucking consequences. He said that 30 years ago. The only way that can make those people realize that they're wrong is instant consequences. And we're not at the level of instant consequences, but we're gonna have to get there some type of way. And the only thing you have to do is concentrate on different things. I'm willing to shed this marketplace that I built off of these dating coaches, but at the end of the day, these people still wanted to listen to the same dating coaches after I told them all the information. So it's not me. At the end of the day, I'm not trying to feed these people anymore. They have to realize that they're wrong, and I got to move on whether they come with me or not. Because I'm not stuck here. I'm already off the field, off the market. I didn't have to listen to bullshit dudes to get to where I'm at. I don't have to wait for other people to tell me about information. I could clearly look at my goddamn self. I don't have to do that shit. But if these people actually do want to do it, then there ain't nothing you can do to be able to stop them. So, anybody got anything else before we get up out of here?
I'm good, man.
No, sir. I was just
Great.
responding to some people in the chat. I'm licensed in 13 states, so and I have my license in the state of New York, which is basically the Trump state, not Donald Trump, but and I don't know how people feel about him. I feel my way about him, good or bad. I'm not gonna reveal that right now, but um, basically New York, when you're licensed in financial services in New York, any other state in the country, for lack of a better term, you can go slap your dick on the table, because it's the financial capital of the country, right? So I can definitely help folks. I put my phone number in the chat. You could come to my channel, Alonzo Horta, All-Star Advisor, click the button to schedule a consult on your own, or give me a call and we'll discuss some things. I'll just drop with this. Wipe ass, work in progress every day and see success. And when people challenge you, they don't challenge you to challenge you, but they challenge you to challenge you. Accept the challenge. Salute.
Yeah, I mean, but they really want to know what you're actually doing while they're doing nothing. So that way they can clone the actual information that you give them and make it look like they're doing something to somebody else. That's vitally important for people to understand. Most people directly and misappropriately understand basic simple principles that have been should have been taught to them by economics and government in a middle school. If they didn't get it during middle school, they're still asking the same question now at 30 and 40 years old and wondering why the actual planet is not running around trying to kiss their ass about shit. You can't help those dudes. End of the day, get your own individual outcomes. People who really care about an actual community care far more about individual outcomes than trying to share it through individuals who haven't done shit. So with that said, I want to thank you guys for coming through. I'm the man tomorrow. You guys have a really nice rest of y'all morning. Peace.